What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tsla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward, as we have Jerome Powell giving a testimony tomorrow, not to mention other factors involved with the markets. But before I break down most information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a few things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 of them. And the offer ends very soon in just about 3 weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the markets. Looking at SPY, we started off for a very, very nice push to about 556. SPY struggled to hold through this during the very beginning of the day. To get a little bit of a sell-off back down to about 554. We kind of consolidated here a bit around this 555 area. And then at the very end of the day, the buyers came back and pushed the market back up to give bulls a bigger edge. So right now the charts still remain bullish. The market is still very, very bullish, approaching Jerome Powell's testimony for tomorrow. But whether or not this continues depends a lot on Jerome Powell. So I want to talk a little bit about that before I break these things down. So tomorrow is going to be Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. It's going to be a very, very important day because at 9:15 a.m. we have Barr giving a speech. At 10 a.m. we have Jerome Powell giving a testimony, which is going to be very important for the markets. Then at 11:30 a.m. we have some bill auctions coming out, not to mention Bowman giving one more speech at 11:30. But the main thing to be watching for will be 10 o'clock a.m. The big piece of news is Jerome Powell's testimony right over here. What is this? What does this mean for the markets? Let me just give you guys some information. So Jerome Powell is basically going to be giving us a lot of information about monetary policy, the Fed's look on interest rates, what's happening with inflation, and a bunch of different factors like that. Why? Because he's going to be appearing before a bunch of lawmakers on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. They're going to be questioning him a lot about monetary policy, banking regulations, what's happening with inflation, what his current propositions are, and they may even talk about a recession. What are his views on that? So what Jerome Powell says is going to be very, very important. If he's like more dovish, more optimistic, he gives like really good answers, the market could continue to squeeze. Right? The last time the market started squeezing was actually started by him. Jerome Powell started giving his speech last week. If you guys remember, this is when the market started to run really, really hard, and it just continued from then. So that just shows how powerful Jerome Powell tends to be. But if Jerome Powell ends up saying things the market doesn't like, if he starts saying that inflation is taking longer to get down than expected, the Fed has to be patient, and he says some negative things, Jerome Powell could cause a big rug pull as well. So you want to be very open-minded to anything. A lot of great traders I know don't even like to trade when Jerome Powell opens his mouth. Other people do love to do it. So it's up to you guys. But I just want to say this is going to be very impactful for the markets, and we'll see what this ends up leading to. Now, for more data, real quick, just remember this is what the earnings calendar looks like for the week. Most of the earnings are very, very minor until Friday, when we have JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, and just a couple more. Then also just notes that as far as sentiment goes for the markets, we're neutral, a little bit close to greed overall. Momentum is still extremely greedy though, because we're still well above our key EMAs as the market is continuing to close above all-time highs. This is the 35th time this happened for the S&P 500 for the year. Absolutely wild. On top of this, we have the puts and call option positioning dropping again. The puts are continuing to be closed. The buyers are continuing to step in, and we're seeing the squeeze perpetuating. The VIX is just way down here in the 12s, in the 12s, well below its 50 daily moving average, looking very lackluster, suggesting the market has even more upside potential. So everything is still favoring the bulls right now. And what you'll see is that SPY basically dipped from 556, came all the way down to 554, only to get bought back up. And we continue to test this resistance, and we're continuing to make some attempts to break out. This is forming a very, very nice cup. And from a technical standpoint, it looks more bullish, if I'm going to be 100% frank. If we break through 556, I'm going to be looking for basically 557.5 as our next potential targets, then eventually 560. If we fail and this ends up being a trap and we get a big rejection thanks to Jerome Powell, I'll be looking at the low of the day. If we end up losing the 554 area, we could easily start dipping down to 552 for a very, very nice rug pull. Is there confirmation? Is there confirmation of us getting that rug pull? As of right now, there's no sign of it. The market is just getting bought up. We look very bullish right now, and it favors upside for 557.5. That's looking a lot more probable. For those who are also interested in looking at futures, let me just pull up ES real quick. I know a lot of people love to watch and love to look at different indicators. One thing you'll notice that we came all the way down to our 50 EMA right over here, and we got bought right back up. So this is actually looking a little bit more bullish, like we want to fill this imbalance. So ES is looking a little bit bit more bullish as of right now. It's still trying to push. As I'm speaking right now, it's pushing. I just said it right now. So this is still favoring the bulls on the 30 minutes time frame. It's still looking more bullish. When you look at the 4-hour time frame, it's no different. Still favoring the bulls, just like SPY. So I'm just trying to say futures are still looking bullish. Market is still looking bullish. There's no sign of this stopping. Could Jerome Powell stop this? It's always a possibility, but there's no sign of it just yet. And the charts favor 557.5 on SPY or higher. How about the QQQ? QQQ, same thing. It's actually breaking all-time highs as I speak. It's still pumping, guys. So because we're above 498, and we'll have to see if that holds during Jerome Powell's speech or not. If we hold above 498, I think we're going all the way up to 500. If we end up failing and we lose 498, we're dipping back down to 496.8, if not 495. And if we lose 494, we turn even more bearish. There's going to be a bigger drop coming. No sign of it. In fact, technicals look very bullish on the 4-hour time frame for many different futures, not to mention the QQQ and the Nasdaq. We still look very, very bullish. This looks like it's going to be favoring new all-time highs tomorrow. That's looking more probable, but it also depends on Jerome Powell's speech. So we'll see if we hold above 498 or not. But right now, technicals favor the upside. How about for Tesla? Tesla was kind of like in the middle today. It actually closed kind of flat, but we did see a nice attempt to push. And overall, the trend on Tesla is looking decent. Now, the 4-hour is showing signs that Tesla's going to slow down a bit. It may just continue to consolidate. So I do favor that a little bit more. But if the market were to push higher, this could actually help Tesla just a little bit more. So I'm thinking what's going to happen to Tesla is tomorrow, depending on what the market does, we may try to pop again towards the 258 area, come back down, consolidate around this 250 range for an extended period of time. But later on down the line, we could be pushing back to the 260s. So we'll have to see if that ends up being the case. If we end up breaking past resistance at 252.5 to 255, I'll be looking for a much bigger push. Break this high right here, we're going all the way up to 264, by the way. My guts tells me we're going to consolidate a bit longer, pop, drop back down, just continue to trade sideways in the 250s, and eventually break out later on. I find that to be a lot more probable for Tesla. For Nvidia, Nvidia is looking pretty decent right here. We're kind of choppy for now. I'll be looking at support around this 127.7 area and also at 126.5. We have resistance at 130. Overall, we're holding up quite well, continuing to consolidate. But I think that there's a good chance that this favors upside as long as we hold above our 127.6 area, the 20 EMA. We favor a nice push for this 130 area. So I would say that right now we're trying to make higher highs and higher lows, and we may try to continue to push even higher, at least from here. This looks like it wants to push higher, so I'm going to give this a little bit more time to see if that ends up being the case. But overall, Nvidia is showing some life and it favors 130, at least for now. For Bitcoin, on the 1-hour time frame, if we break past 57,000, we're going to be looking for a push for about 58,000 plus. If you reject right here, we're going to be coming back down, but this favors upside a lot more. If we have a nice double bottom like structure, we're continuing to uptrend. So I'm going to be looking for a nice push for our 200 EMA. I think that Bitcoin is looking more bullish to me. So Bitcoin looks like it wants to push higher. We'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. And in my personal opinion, I think things are looking very, very interesting. Now, for other factors out there, I just wanted to say that for Aapl, Apple's also trying to hold up. I'm going to show you guys this real quick. We're looking very bullish on Aapl. I mean, we've broken the structure right here. We got this breakout. We got this dip. There was a very, very big dip that happened today, only for us to get bought back up near our 50 EMA. And now we're testing structure again. So break this, and our next target is going to be this 230 plus area. Aapl is looking more bullish from a technical standpoint. So like I said in my earlier video, the market remains bullish. Yes, there was a little bit of a dip that came today, but only for everything to just get bought back up. And the buyers are still on fire. They still have the edge. For Palantir, I have a bullish wedge-like structure, so this favors 28 plus. Remember, I called that out yesterday. I said 28 is coming. That's exactly what we saw. And the trend remains bullish as long as we're above our 20 EMA. So if we lose 27.56, we're going to be dipping back down to 27 flats towards the 50 EMA. If we hold this green line here, we're going to continue to soar and start pushing to much higher levels. When I bring up the 4-hour just like this, you guys will see the trend remains bullish. Let me just zoom out a little bit more so you guys can see this. We look more and more bullish every single day. And this is favoring basically a retest of 29.5 if we break past 28. So I still think we're going to go a little higher to 28 plus, maybe test the high of the pre-market all over again, but Palantir remains bullish. What else is bullish? Supermicro. I told you if we broke past 880, look for 900. Lo and behold, that's what happened. So we're looking a little bit more bullish on the 4 hour. In fact, we have a nice accumulation structure. If we could break past 920, I think we're going all the way up towards at least 945. And then after that, we have 975. But still very, very bullish looking. If we were to lose 880, we will turn back down to 867 or so. I do not favor that. I favor upside for this. This is looking a lot more bullish. Looks like it wants to go all the way up to at least 940. For Rivian, Rivian is pushing up very nicely, looking bullish on the 4 hour. I mentioned to everyone it's going to likely test this 20 EMA and try pushing for 15.5, the exact level we called out yesterday. Looking at the trend, as long as we hold above 15.5, we're going to be going all the way up towards the previous support becoming resistance around 16, and then we could continue to go higher from here. But overall, we're looking quite bullish. For SoFi, we have a head and shoulders like structure. We called out some downside exactly as predicted. We are coming back down. Going to be looking for a test about 6.3 before you try to bounce again. But overall, it's not really much of a move. We're just moving in like 10-cent increments. So it's not really moving much. It doesn't have much volatility. I think we might dip and then try to rebound just a little bit more, but I'm not really expecting too much. The IWM Russell 2000, I said we need to get back above 202 to turn bullish. I was actually eyeing a little bit of a test to the downside. Instead, we actually bounced, so it's actually stronger than what I was expecting. So this is looking more bullish to me. Now that we got this bounce and a close above 202, there's a good chance we're going to try to fill this wick and go all the way up towards about 204. This is favoring upside strongly. It depends on what Jerome Powell says, of course, but we're still looking bullish. AMD is bullish looking. Going to be looking for a test all the way up here towards 180. If that breaks, look for 184. AMD is looking more and more bullish as I speak. ARM looking bullish, breaking out above 185. There's no sign of this rejecting. Our next target is to be 187.5. Looks more bullish. If we were to lose 185, I'd look at 182, but it still looks bullish. For Coinbase, we're kind of trying to turn here. We technically had this low here from Friday, went high up here, made a higher low. And if we do continue from here, we want to see a retest of this white trend line. I think we might test this around 224 tomorrow. If you reject here, we're going to continue lower. If we break through this, we're going to continue to push. So we'll just have to see how it goes. For Amazon, Amazon's kind of stuck within this range, trading sideways. If we break past 200, we're going to be pushing up for 202. If we reject here, we're going to be dipping back down to 197.5. Then 194 is coming next. But overall, we're looking more bullish. If we break past 200, this could try to rebound. I am seeing some buyers defending it, but I need to see confirmation of a break of 200 for this to continue. So we'll see if that ends up being the case or not. For Meta, if Meta continues to reject, I'll be looking for basically a test of about 527. If that fails, we're going to be looking for 522. And once we test that, we'll look for a rebound. I'm favoring that a little bit more. That might come a little bit lower towards like 522 and then try to bounce. This is where this is where the breakout happened to be. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. But so far, so good from Meta. For Microsoft, we're looking more bullish. We came down a bit only to rebound. Look for 468 and 470 to be tested. Overall, it's holding up very, very well. For a few more out there, we also have Google. Google's also holding up relatively well. Make sure you watch the support around 189. Watch resistance around 192. We're kind of trading sideways within this range for now, so I think it might just consolidate for a bit and eventually try to push up higher. But I think that Google is just going to continue to range trade for the time being. If you were to lose 189, I'd be looking for 188.4, then 186. But in my personal opinion, I think that it's just going to consolidate for the time being, so we have to be a little bit more patient with this chart. For GameStop, I know a lot of people are watching retail stocks like GME and others for now, but I just wanted to say that as far as things go, I wanted to mention that we have potential on GameStop. I just want to see it break past 25. That's where our 50 EMA happens to be. If that's the case, we'd be looking for a much bigger push. If we fail to do so, we're going to be looking for a rejection. But I do think it's going to be testing 25. We'll have to see a big test tomorrow on GameStop, especially when Jerome Powell opens his mouth. And then for AMC, okay, AMC has upside potential. It's continuing to uptrend right here. We have this wick, so that makes me suspect 5.5 plus is coming, eventually 5.8. So I'm seeing some more upside potential. For DJT, we're turning bullish on the 4-hour time frame. If we break past 31.38, we'll be looking for 33.4. And then we also have this gap to fill down here towards 27. If we break through this, we'll look for a nice push. It really depends if we could break past 31.38 or not. This will depend a lot on what Jerome Powell ends up saying. He may even speak about the election, which could affect this. So we'll have to wait and see. But overall, it is trying to base here. If we lose 29, look for 27. If we break past 31, we're going back up to 33. We're kind of in the middle, so give it some time. Depends on what Jerome Powell says. The VIX looking a little bit more bearish. The 4 hours looking a little bit more bearish. looks like it might dip a little bit more, which favors upside for the markets. The VIX is not really doing much to really kind of like change my view, kind of change perspectives on how the market's moving. So the VIX is kind of lackluster, not really doing much. Just for a few more, the 10-year is dipping, so this is a sign the bulls are in control, but it's going to be heavily dictated by Jerome Powell tomorrow. Whatever Jerome Powell says will affect this, so we'll see. As of right now, it's favoring bulls for the stock market. The dollar is trying to turn on the 4-hour, but we're going to be watching for a test of 105.08 tomorrow. If we hit that range and reject, this is going to be bullish for the markets. If we break through it, we're going to turn back to bullish on the dollar, which is bearish for the markets. I'll be waiting to see if we get this rejection or not. If we get that rejection, we'll be revisiting this imbalance towards 104.29. We just have to wait and see, guys, just to be a little bit more patient. With that being said, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys so much for listening. The market is looking bullish right now. SPY is approaching all-time highs all over again. ES is near all-time highs. You know, the QQQ is near all-time highs. We're seeing the NASDAQ in the same place. It's continuing to push and push and push and push. But we have to wait and see if we end up getting some nice volatility. But I just wanted to say that for now, all eyes will be on Jerome Powell tomorrow, once again at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 30 minutes after the market opens. We'll see what Jerome Powell has to say. His testimony is going to be key. And I just want to give you guys a warning about it because, like, I have a lot of friends who are very, very, incredible traders as well. And some of them actually don't like to trade when Jerome Powell gives his speeches, when Jerome Powell speaks. And that's completely understandable, right? You could see how the market could be very volatile. It could be very unpredictable sometimes, depending on what he says. So if you want to step aside tomorrow, not really trade much, and just wait it out, see what he says, and then watch for entries, you could do that. Or if you want to do the complete opposite, if you want to just give the market time and then look for good entries, you could do that too, even when Jerome Powell is speaking. But I just want to warn you, there's going to likely be crazy volatility, a big move coming, and we will just have to wait and see what the big guy has to say. All right, so we'll see what Jerome Powell has to say. He's giving a speech tomorrow. He's going to be questioned by a lot of lawmakers, which could kind of like force him to be in positions where he has to kind of get off script. He might say something that's a little bit different from usual, so it might make a lot of headlines. That's going to have a big effect on the markets. If I knew what the heck he was going to say, or if I knew what the questions were going to be, I would tell you, but I don't truly know. So that's the reason why you have to be very careful and you have to be very conscious of the unknowns, especially when you're trying to day trade, especially when you're trying to get through the markets. Okay, so we know there are things we don't know. I know I don't know what Powell will truly say. So I'm going to be very, very cautious when it comes to trading tomorrow and be very, very patient. Okay. So I know that a lot of the lessons I kind of like talk about are kind of redundant. They may even seem very, very futile, very, very trivial. But the truth is, sometimes the most simple lessons can be very, very useful and give you guys the most value relative to others. You have to remember that as long as you possibly can. With that being said, I want to thank you for listening. Please have a great day. Remain calm, cool, and collected. And I'll see you guys very soon on the next video. Thank you for listening, guys. The market's to the moon because the long term is still incredibly bright. I'll see you guys tomorrow just to see how things look. I'll be back in the morning before the market opens to give you guys another report. All right. Until then, have a great evening. Have a great night, guys. And get ready for the big guy, Jerome Powell, to give his speech and testimony for tomorrow. It's going to be very, very huge. All right. Have a great day and peace out.